Every bit of your update this morning has got me fired up, Eddie. Did you just intentionally decide to put in all of the things that were going to get me riled up? First of all, this idiot senator from Connecticut, what's his name, Blumenthal?
Yes, Richard Blumenthal.
Isn't he the one who lied about serving in Vietnam?
I don't know about that.
Well, somebody look that up. Dub, look up if Blumenthal lied about serving in Vietnam. I think it was one of the Connecticut senators. It was either him or the other idiot Connecticut senator. Figure out which one it was. And then let me know here in a sec. But in the meantime, why is he weighing in on whether college sports should exist or not? Is there anybody out, especially when he's wrong on all the data? Is there anybody out there who's like, hey, what does Connecticut senator think about whether the SEC should play football this year? Is there anybody on the planet who was like, hey, I'm a Big 12 fan. I wonder what the idiot senator from Connecticut thinks about whether or not we should play college football in Texas or not. I am so sick of stupidity. There is zero data to support the idea that we shouldn't be back in school and that we shouldn't be playing college sports this fall. There is zero. 67,000 pediatricians said your kids should be back in school, and it's like nobody even pays attention. People are like, oh, we got to listen to the science. Well, 67,000 doctors just said your kids should be back in school. That is the science. There is no complicating factor here. 67,000 pediatricians, the people who treat kids, said schools need to be back open. The data reflects that college kids are more likely to be struck by lightning or to die driving to campus than they are to die of the coronavirus. And this idiot, lying loser, sack of you-know-what senator out of Connecticut decides he needs to weigh in and tell all colleges that they need to play no sports this fall? I'm sorry. What an ignoramus. And he is a liar, right? He claimed that he served in Vietnam and he didn't. How did this dude even get elected? When you fundamentally lie about something that big, what are the idiot people of Connecticut doing voting for this loser? What's the story, Dub? He did lie about serving in Vietnam, right?
That's correct. This is from the New York Times. He was speaking to a group in March of 2008 in Norwalk, which I assume is in Connecticut, saying, you know, we learned something important since the days that I served in Vietnam. Later on in the article, it states that Mr. Blumenthal never served in Vietnam. He obtained at least 5 military deferments from 1965 to 1970 and took repeated steps that enabled him to avoid going to war, according to reports.
Okay, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to go to Vietnam. If I had been alive back in the day, I would have done everything possible to avoid going to Vietnam. But you know what I wouldn't do? I wouldn't come on the radio and say, hey, back when I was in Vietnam, this guy knows he didn't serve in Vietnam and he lied about it. That would be like me coming on this show and being like, hey, back when I played in the NBA, be like, wait, record scratch, like, wait, or back when I played in the NFL, you know, back when I was a Major League Baseball player, no, I didn't do that. If I came on the radio and as part of my argument, I was like, you know, when I used to work in Major League Baseball, we would sit around in the clubhouse. I should never be able to be on the radio again. How could you trust me? That's what that guy did. It's like me sitting on the radio talking to you guys every day and being like, hey, back in the NHL, you know, I wasn't necessarily the best goal scorer, but I was a heck of a defenseman. And you're like, I've never even held a hockey stick. I don't know how to play hockey. If you gave me skates right now, I'm not sure that I could make it across the ice without falling. That's the equivalent of what this idiot senator from Connecticut said. He claimed to have fought in the Vietnam War, and he didn't fight in the Vietnam War. Now I'm going to make a couple $100 million here soon on OutKick. I really do think we are. Next couple of years. And that's why one of the things I'm thinking about doing is taking my couple of $100 million and going and running for office, and my entire campaign slogan is going to be, Clay Travis, I won't lie to you. You may not agree with me, but when I give the facts, I'm going to tell you what the facts are. And the facts are every kid should be back in school this fall. Every kid in every state. Yes, your kid too. They aren't in danger. They're 20 times as likely to die of the flu as they are of the coronavirus. Every kid should be playing sports in college, and every kid should be on a college campus. The data is clear. There aren't any uncertainties. Who do you want to believe? The guy who has never lied to you in 5 years of morning radio, or this ignoramus senator from Connecticut who lied about fighting in Vietnam? How do you lie about fighting in Vietnam and get elected in this country? You don't forget about walking through a damn jungle with an M16 in your hands, getting your ass shot at. And we elected this ignoramus. And we're listening to him about whether or not we should play sports. I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican or an independent. If you lie about serving in Vietnam, I can't trust you on anything. And now he's lying to you about whether you should be back in school. What are the people of Connecticut doing? I mean, think about it. That's a root cause lie. Think about all the things that have to go into you going to Vietnam. That's not like me forgetting whether I went to Costco yesterday. You know, yesterday I went to Costco, and then somebody's like, no, you didn't, Clay. And I was like, all right, sorry, it was 2 days ago. Like, okay, maybe I forgot what day I went to Costco. I don't remember exactly what day I got in my car, what day I drove there. Think about all the things that you have to do to get to Viet freaking Nam. I don't even like getting in a car and driving for 7 hours. And when I get somewhere, nobody shoots at me, and I remember every 7-hour car ride I've ever had in my life. When I was in college, I got in a car and we drove from D.C. to Connecticut, where my college roommate lived. And it was the worst drive ever because traffic was atrocious. I remember that. I would remember just getting on the airplane and having to fly to Vietnam because it would take forever. And once I got to Vietnam, I certainly would remember getting off the airplane, living in barracks, getting my ass shot at every day. The idea that you could lie about being in Vietnam should disqualify you from ever representing anyone in any issue for the rest of your life. Because you are at your root a damn liar. And you lied about the most significant thing that existed in your young adult life. Now, I don't care about dodging the draft. I would have probably tried to dodge the draft too, because guess what? I wouldn't have wanted to go to Vietnam and get my ass shot at walking around in a jungle halfway around the world. I respect everybody who did serve, like my uncle. But you know what? He actually went to Vietnam. And he actually nearly died in Vietnam. And he had the balls to be there. And you know how often he brags about being in Vietnam? Never. Came back from Vietnam and wouldn't talk about it for decades because of everything that he saw happen there. And we got this panty-waist loser in Connecticut who's sitting around lying about being in Vietnam and who now feels like he needs to weigh in on whether we should be back in school. I'm sorry, I am fed the F up with these losers. They lie to you. There's a difference between disagreeing. We can all disagree about a variety of different things, but the facts here are not complicated. Every single kid should be back in school this fall. in college and elementary school. The data reflects it. It's a fact. And when I see people sharing things that are 100% not true, it fires me up, whether they are Democrats, Republicans, or independents. And this lying sack of you-know-what out of Connecticut should be ashamed of himself. Oh, I am fired up. I wish we could get this loser on the show because I would fillet his stupid ass. I would bring him on here, and by the time he was done, his political career would be officially over because he's a lying sack of crap. So anyway, that's what I think about the senator from Connecticut. What's his name? Blumenthal. If you're listening to me and you ever support this loser Blumenthal, you need to be going to listen to ESPN. Just leave me. We're growing so fast, I don't need your stupid ass to listen to me. Actually, you probably do need to be listening to me because you probably don't know that he's a lying sack of crap. But that's what I think about that dude in general. If you lie about Vietnam and you're continuing to lie now, how in the world are you representing anybody in this country? And more importantly, how in the world is anybody actually voting for him? It's unbelievable. Think about that. Lying about whether or not you went to Vietnam. I mean, if I lied about being a pro athlete on this show, every one of you justifiably would be like, Clay Travis shouldn't have a show. I can't trust Clay Travis to talk about sports because he lied about being a former pro athlete. That is less significant of a lie than lying about being a Vietnam veteran. To me. Because it's not that big of a deal whether I was a pro athlete. There are a lot of pro athletes out there that are no good at talking on the radio. What that would go to is the essence of whether you can trust me or not. You're like, Clay Travis said he was a former NHL player. That dude, he can't even skate. Be like, okay, it's hard to trust me. But it's not that big of a lie. It's a stupid lie. But it's not like it matters that much in the grand scheme of things. Lying about whether you served in Vietnam is unbelievable. The minute that came out, the Senate should have forced him to resign, and he should have done so in disgrace. And every dollar that he made in his political career, he should have to donate to wounded warriors or to the VA to help the people that he claimed to be one of. Like, hypocrisy on all its levels infuriates me, but hypocrisy revolving around lies, which is so endemic everywhere in this country right now, it really gets to me. All right. I teased that Danny G was going to give some podcast reviews. This is going to be an incredible transition because everybody out there is fired up right now. You should go give me 5 stars. If you enjoy anything on this program, the one thing I will not do is lie to you. I will guarantee you there are a lot of things you may disagree with about my opinions on a day-to-day basis, but what I pledge to you is I will never lie to you. I will always get my facts right, and I certainly am not going to claim that I'm a World War II veteran. Maybe I fought in the Civil War. Civil War veteran. I'm the only person out there who has ever fought in every war that America's fought in. So back in the Revolutionary War, I was with Washington at Valley Forge. And then I fought on both the North and the South in the Civil War. It was tough to pull off, but I was both a Confederate soldier and a Union soldier. I went back and forth. They let me travel across the lines because I was like, hey, I want to fight in every army that's ever been in the United States. And then I was down in the Spanish-American War down in Puerto Rico. Back in the late 1890s, I was with Teddy Roosevelt charging up the hill. And then I also was at World War I, got gassed, survived. Really tough play, but I survived the gassing. And then I went on to World War II, and I stormed the beaches of Normandy. And then after World War II, I was in Korea, super cold in Korea, got frostbite, managed to survive. And then after that, I also was in Vietnam, and then I was in the Gulf War, and then I also served in Iraq, and I sprinkled a little Afghanistan in there too. So I don't know that anybody's ever had a more military proven record than me, but from the Revolutionary War all the way up to the war in Iraq, I fought in every war. That's Richard Blumenthal, by the way. I got to be careful. This is why I wish I was on satellite radio full time, because I feel like well-placed expletives often make sense. But the fact that anybody is listening to this loser about whether or not we should be back in school or not is infuriating to me, obviously.